The Hard Times in Elfland by Sidney Lanier. Read in English. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Hard Times in Elfland. Strange that the termagant wind should scold the Christmas Eve so bitterly. But wife and Harry the 4-year-old, big Charlie, nimble wits and I, blithe as the wind was bitter, drew more frontward of the mighty fire, where wise Newfoundland fan foreknew the heaven that Christian dogs desire. Stretched o'er the rug, serene and grave, huge nose on heavy paws reclined, with never a drowning boy to save, and warmth of body and peace of mind. And as our happy circle sat, the fire well capped the company. In grave debate or careless chat, a right good fellow mingled he. He seemed as one of us to sit, and talked of things above, below, with flames more winsome than our wit, and coals that burned like love aglow. While thus our rippling discourse rolled, smooth down the channel of the night, we spoke of time, thereat one told a parable of the season's flight. Those seasons out, we talked of these, and I, with inward purpose sly, to shield my purse from Christmas trees, and stockings, and wild robbery, when Hal and nimble wits invade my cash in Santa Claus's name. In full the hard times surveyed, denounced all waste as crime and shame, hinted that waste might be a term, including skates, velocipedes, kites, marbles, soldiers, towers infirm, bows, arrows, cannon, Indian reeds, cap pistols, drums, mechanic toys, and all the infernal host of horns, whereby to strenuous hells of noise are turned the blessed Christmas morns. Thus roused, those horns, to sacred rage, I rose, forefinger high in air, when Harry cried, some water wage, "Papa, is hard times everywhere?" "Maybe in Santa Claus's land it isn't hard times none at all." Now blessed vision to my hand most pat a marvel strange did fall. Scarce had my Harry ceased, when "Look!" he cried, leapt up in wild alarm, ran to my comrade, shelter took beneath the startled mother's arm, and so was still. What time we saw a foot hang down the fireplace, then, with painful scrambling, scratched and raw, 2 hands that seemed like hands of men eased down 2 legs and a body through the blazing fire, and forth there came before our wide and wondering view a figure shrinking half with shame and half with weakness. "Sir," I said, but with a mien of dignity. The seedy stranger raised his head. "My friends, I'm Santa Claus," said he. But oh, how changed! That rotund face, the new moon rivalled, pale and thin. Where once was cheek, now empty space, whate'er stood out did now stand in. His piteous legs scarce propped him up, his arms mere sickles seemed to be. But most o'erflowed our sorrow's cup, when that we saw, or did not see, his belly. We remembered how it shook like a bowl of jelly fine. An earthquake could not shake it now. He had no belly, not a sign. "Yes, yes, old friends, you well may stare. I have seen better days," he said, "but now with shrinkage, loss and care, your Santa Claus scarce owns his head. We've had such hard times this year for goblins, never knew the like. All Elfland's mortgaged, and we fear that gnomes are just about to strike. I once was rich and drowned in hail, the whole world called me Jolly Brick. But listen to a piteous tale, young Harry. Santa Claus is sick." 'Twas thus a smooth-tongued railroad man comes to my house and talks to me. "I've got," says he, "a little plan that suits this 19th century. Instead of driving as you do, 6 reindeer slow from house to house, let's build a Grand Trunk Railway through from here to Earth's last terminus. We'll touch at every chimney top, an elevated track of course. Then, as we whisk you by, you'll drop each package down. Just think the force you'll save, the time. Besides, we'll make our millions. Look you, soon we will compete for freight, and then we'll take Dame Fortune's bales of good nil. Why, she's the biggest shipper, sir, that e'er did business in this world. Then Death, that ceaseless traveller, shall on his rounds by us be whirled. When ghosts return to walk with men, we'll bring 'em cheap, by steam and fast. We'll run a branch to heaven, and then we'll riot, man, for then at last we'll make with heaven a contract fair to call each hour from town to town, and carry the dead folks' souls up there, and bring the unborn babies down. The plan seemed fair. I gave him cash, nay, every penny I could raise. My wife ere cried, "'Tis rash, 'tis rash!" How could I know the stock thief's ways? But soon I learned full well, poor fool. My woes began that wretched day. The President plied me like a tool, in lawyers' fees and rights of way. Injunctions, leases, charters, I was meshed as in a mighty maze. The stock ran low, the talk ran high, then quickly flamed the final blaze. With never an inch of track, 'tis true, the debts were large, the oft-told tale. The President rolled in splendour new. He bought my silver at the sale. Yes, sold me out. We've moved away. I've had to give up everything. My reindeer even, whom I pray... Excuse me. Here, o'er sorrowing, poor Santa Claus burst into tears, then calmed again. My reindeer fleet, I gave them up. On foot, my dears, I now must plod through snow and sleet. Retrenchment rules in Elfland now. Yes, every luxury is cut off. Which, by the way, reminds me how I caught this dreadful hacking cough. I cut off the tail of my Ulster furred, to make young Chris a coat of state. That very night the storm occurred. Thus we become the sport of fate. For I was out till after 1, surveying chimney tops and roofs, and planning how it could be done, without any reindeer's bouncing hoofs. "My dear," says Mrs. Claus that night, a most superior woman she, "it never, never can be right that you, deep sunk in poverty, this year should leave your poor old bed, and trot about bent down with toys. There's Chris a-crying now for bread, to give to other people's boys. Since you've been out, the news arrives, the Elf's insurance company's gone. Ah, Claus, those premiums, now our lives depend on yours. Thus griefs go on. And even while you're thus harassed, I do believe, if out you went, you'd go, in spite of all that's past, to the children of that President. Oh, Charlie, Harry, Nimblewits, these eyes that night ne'er slept a wink. My path seemed honeycombed with pits. Naught could I do but think and think. But with the day my courage rose. Ne'er shall my boys, I cried, when Christmas morns their eyes unclose, find empty stockings gaping wide. Then hewed and whacked and whittled I. The wife, the girls, and Chris took fire. They spun, sewed, cut, till by and by we made, at home, my pack entire. He handed me a bundle here. Now hoist me up, there, gently quick. Dear boys, don't look for much this year. Remember, Santa Claus is sick. End of The Hard Times in Elfland by Sidney Lanier, from In the Yule Log Glow, Book 4, by Harrison S. Morris. Recorded by Lucy Perry, in Bath, on November 29th, 2013.